Hello everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Technical Router. Today let us learn about the what are the variables in Java. The variables are the containers which holds the value that are used for a Java program execution. The variables are container which holds holds the value while the Java program is executed. The variables are the container. I'm taking one container that has some also value. There are a lot of values that can be used for the further execution of the Java program in one container that contains a lot of values, some values that values can be further used for a Java program execution. Now there are some of the types of variables. Types of variables. Actually, there are two variables that are an global variables and local variables. But the global variables have been further divided into further two types that are an instance and an class variable. Instead of saying all that, we can say that there are four types of variables. That are first one is an instance variable or non-static fields. Second one is an class variable. Static fields. Third one is a local variable. And fourth one is a parameter. These are the variables. If the interviewer asks what are the types of variables, you can say, and there are two types of variables, global and local variables. And you should say, and the global variables are further divided into and two. That are instance variables and a class variable. And local variables are divided into further two types that are local variables and parameters. Or you can say there are four types of variables that are an instance, class variables, local variable, and parameter. These are the types of variables. Now let us see how to create a variable. How to create the variable. First, what is the syntax of the variable? Syntax is first data type followed by variable name, that is a programmer defined variable name, and data or value. And each line of the R program ends with a semicolon. This is a syntax. Data type followed by a variable name and data, that is equals operator, and data or value. This is a syntax of the variable. Now, these variable, it is divided into, it has further two types. The syntax has further two types, that is an defining variable and initializing the variable. The defining variables and initializing the variables. This example, I'm taking in data types. In the previous class, I told types of data types that are an primitive and non-primitive. In primitive, there are some more data types. I'm taking an int. For a non-decimal numbers, we can use an byte, short, long, and int. I'm taking here int. Int a is equals to 20. See, data type, variable name. The variable name is a programmer defined assign operator, that is a data value. I am giving a value as a 20. This 20 is assigned to an A. Now I am going to print it using print statement. To print the value of a, we should give a variable name only. We should not use any double colons here. See here like this. If we use this, I'm going to get the a only. I'm going to see, I'm going to get an a only. I'm not getting a value of a. I'm getting in whatever the data I'm written in this double colon, I'm going to get that only. If I need to get the value of a, then I have to give only an a. Yeah, I got the value of a, that is a 20. I told that it has an two steps in this, that is an defining one variable and initializing one variable. That means for defining int b, int b. This isn't defining. This is defines. That means I am not initializing any value to the b. This is only a defining variable. If I want to initialize some values for the b means second step can I go to get. In second step I initialize the value. Like this also we can create the variables. First by defining it a declaration or by defining it, and I'm going to initialize. Print it. The reason b. So I got the value of it, that is in b also. This define and further, that means now I've written it defining in one step and initialization in another step. We can create an variable in this way also or in this way also. In this way, in this one step only, if we are going to give means in the given question we will be knowing what is the value of a or what is an value of the variable. If we know the value of variable, we can go for this method. If we know the value of variable means we can go for this method. In the same step only, we can initialize that and we can define and initialize. If it does not know, the value of a or some value, does not know the value of the variable, on that time first we are going to define it, and first I'm going to define here and I'm going to execute some lines of code, something. I'm going to execute something as an hello. After that, I came to know the value of b. After that, I came to know the value of b. After that, I have given as a b equals 22 and I'm going to print it. In this way, as we can go. See, if we know the data, if a starting of the program only, we know the value or data. On that time, we can use like this. In the same line only, we can define an initialize. In same line only, define an initialize. If does not know the value, if we does not know the value first only, first we are going to define first, and later after the execution of some lines of program, and later part if we know the value, after that we can write. If we now, I can change the value of b also. I given a value of b is a 56. See, the updated value will be going to print. The value is of b is in 22. After I given value of b is in 56. But I'm after that, whatever the value of next we are going to give, it will be updated value. It will give the updated value. See, first I got the value of b as in 22. After that I updated the value. I have been updated the value of b is in 656. So I got the output as in 56. In this way, we are going to create the variables. See, let us see one by one types of variables. The first is an instance variables. The instance variables means the variables which are outside the method. Okay, the variables which are outside the method, inside the class, and non-static keyword, without a static keyword. The variables which are outside the method, inside the class, without static. are the instance variables. Instance variables means the variables which are outside the method, inside the class, and without static. Example, remove this. Yeah, the variables which are outside the method. Here is a method, public static void mean it is a method. The variables which are outside the method and inside the class. This is a class. This is a class. The class name is a sample. Within the class and outside of the method without static keyword. That are the instance variables. Taking int I equals to 30. These are the instance variable which are outside the method also, which is an inside the class, and then without static keyword. There is no static keyword. There is no any keywords after before the int. These are the instance variables. And if you want to access this instance variables, you want to access this instance variable in the main method, we have to create an object. We have to create an object for the class. Sample s is equals to, I told in object creation in the previous class only, class name object reference equals to new keyword and then constructor. Going to print that. See, I got the value of I. These are the instance variables. Instance variables, if you want to access the instance variables means we have to create the object. We have to create the object and we are going to print it. That means an object reference dot that this the variable name. Object reference dot and variable name. And next is a static variable. This is an example for instance variable. The next is a static variable. Static variables are also, and it will be an outside the method, which is an inside the class, but with static keyword. The variables which are outside the method, inside the class with static are the static variables. The variables which are outside the method also, which are inside the class and with static keyword. That means going to even static int j equals to 10. These are the static variables. See here, I told you the definition, which is outside the method. See, this static variable, it is an outside the method also. It is an inside the class with static keyword. With static keyword are the static variables. And these static variables, for this static variable, we don't need to create an object because this static or the class reference. This static or a class reference. After creating an object only, we can access see J. See, I got the output of an J, that is a 10. For these are the global variables. Global variables means that variable that can be accessed within this methods. How many methods can be there in this class with the sample class? How many methods can be there? For all those methods also we can access this global variable. These global variables can be accessed within the class. That is an outside method also can be accessed within the class, but it in the class. These are the global variables. That is an instance variables and static variable. These instance variables outside the method within the class without static keyword, and we are going to access this instance variable by creating an object. We are going to create an object for the to access the instance variable. If it is a static variable means we don't need to create any object because in static or the class references. Now next is local variables. There are two local variables. I told you that are an local variables and a parameter. Local variable, the variable which are inside the method within the class. The variables which are inside the method and within the class. The variables which are inside the method. See, the global variables are outside the method, right? The global variables are outside the method, but the local variables are inside the method. For example, here is the method. Within the main method, within the method, I am going to create a local variables. Int z equals to 45. These are the local variables. We can access the local variables easily by using a print statement with a variable name. See, I got the output of z value, that is in 45 local variables. The variables which are inside the method, inside within the class or the local variables. And the last one is a parameter. Parameter means within the method parameters only we are going to define the variables. For example, take one method, public void fun. Within the method only I am going to declare a variable, that it defines a variable. And see here, these see these, it is another method name, that is a fun method. I'm going to have an int s as a parameter. These are the parameters. These are the parameter variables that are within the parameters. And then we can, global variables can be defined and initialized. Here, this local variable, sorry. These local variables can be defined and initialized. But this parameter that can only defines but can't be initialized. These parameters can't be initialized. If you want to initialize within the method, inside the, not in the parameter, in the parameter we can't be going to initialize the values. In the parameter we can't initialize the value within the inside the method. S is equals to 7. So in this way we can initialize and we can print after that. Can print it. And I told you that these local variables can be initialized and defined and initialized, but the parameter that can be only defined can't be initialized. And these variables are the case sensitives, and these variables are case sensitive. For example, int string. These variables are case sensitive. String Java is equals to language. Java is in language, and one more string. See, I told you these variables are a case sensitive. See, if I am going to access this one, creating a check. I'm going to get the output as a language. That is a language I'm going to get. If these are the case sensitive, these if the variable is a single word, then it should be a lowercase. So it should be a lowercase, and it is an uppercase also we can use. See, this is an other one, and this is also an other one. Both of them are not same. So for this reason, the variables are in case sensitives. These are the about the variables in the Java. About the variable, definition of variable, the types of variables, and how to create the variables, and types of variables, with an example also I explained. Okay, guys, thank you. Practice it. Read it well. Thank you. Bye.